Time with a 3-point lead, and now this is just tough to watch. Draymond Green flails around and hits Nurkic in the face. One more look at it. Wow.
He was pulling my hip, and I was swinging away to sell the call. I don't fall or to sell the call. I'm not a flopper. I also don't think I'm an accurate enough puncher to do a full 360 and connect with someone.
Draymond Green is going to get suspended for about 10 games, minimum. Can't excuse it. I can tell you right now, through my sources, they're meeting as we speak. This is not going to be a Joe Dumars decision. This is not going to be just a committee decision. Adam Silver, the commissioner of the National Basketball Association, is going to be directly involved with the decision that comes down involving Draymond Green. His reputation is his reputation. The worst thing that could have possibly happened, believe it or not, to Draymond Green was that sound from Nurkic. When a player sits there and says, quote, I don't know what's wrong with him, they're trying to imply you have a problem. And there's nobody in a position to disagree with Nurkic. Because you're talking about anger management issues, and you're saying, I'm glad he didn't choke me, and then you're saying that's not a part of the game, and you're saying, I don't know what's wrong with him. Unfortunately, on this particular day, I can't imagine a soul that's in a position to protect Draymond Green.
I love Draymond to death, but to be honest with you, there's no place for that in the game. Like, I was looking to see what Nurkic did to warrant that. And it was a normal defensive play.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't like there was some, that from what we see, it wasn't like there was something else that happened that,
Yeah, we need him. We need Draymond. But, he knows that. And we've talked to him. And he's got to find a way to keep his poise and be out there for his teammates.
Coach, last time you talked about Draymond not crossing the line. What can be done to stop this from continuing to happen?
We'll keep working.
What's going on with him, I don't know. Personally, I feel like that brother needed help. I'm glad he's not trying to choke me, but at the same time, it had nothing to do with basketball, man.
He's got to get suspended. What those games are, I don't know, Skip. He has a history, repeat offender, whether it's the referees or whether it's getting into altercations. You can go all the way back and look at the LeBron James situation. He kind of, that's whatever, he got kicked out of the game, they wind up losing the championship. But if you go and you look at a year ago, stepping on Sabonis, that to me, that's egregious. You're too big, your weight, stepping on somebody's chest, whether Sabonis was able to finish the game or not, that could have done some damage. Then when you're looking at the Rudy Gobert chokeout, that was a little bit much. It was extended. You look at what went on last night with Nurkic. The interesting thing about this from a basketball standpoint, Steve Kerr benched Looney, made a decision that Draymond was going to be best to go up against Nurkic in that. So they needed him in that aspect.
Yes, they did.
Frustration led into this 360 worldly, I'm really going to hit you, but then in the end, I think I don't want to hit you, so I kind of want to slap you. He didn't grab his waist in turning.
No.
So clearly what Draymond said in the post-game interview is a damn lie. And it's about time that he stops because I'm tired of always having to get up here.
You damn lie about an accident, like it was an accident.
Yeah, come on, man. Like, I ain't really seen you go at Julius Randle. Maybe y'all got an issue and y'all cool or whatever, but I haven't seen the enforcers.
That's a good point.
I've only seen you attack outside LeBron James. You going at the dudes that are, people like Sabonis, this nice guy.
Yes.
Rudy Gobert people don't really like because of the whole situation
I know, but he's
that
almost
happened.
too nice a guy.
But he's not looking to fight.
No.
Like now, all of a sudden, you do this to Nurkic. Nurkic is not. He's just looking to play basketball.
He's just a good dude. He's not going to fight. Yeah.
I'd like to see you, if you're going to do it to somebody that has the same sort of makeup as you. Find that dude in the NBA and let me see how that goes.
Dre, what are you doing, man? You're too important. You're too good. This is getting to a space, man, where you're hurting the game. This is bad for the game of basketball. What you are doing is bad for the game of basketball. And you are good for the game of basketball. But what you're doing, my brother, is bad for the game.
Like you said, Key, we can't sit up here and defend this. I'm a guy that likes to get under people's skin, that pushes the envelope, that does all this. But you can't just turn around and slap somebody and then continue and then say, Now, maybe he didn't do it. He didn't do it on purpose, like he said, to turn around without looking and know exactly where you're hitting the guy. It's kind of stretchy, but you intended on doing something because you don't swing that hard. You know what I mean? You're like, you know he's behind you, so when you swing, one thing athletes have is spatial awareness. Like, you have spatial awareness. You know exactly where you are, your defender is. That's what makes them special. That's what makes them great athletes. But him spinning with his arms flailed, he knew he's going to hit something. It's just one of them BS kind of Bush League moves where you're like, bro, what are we doing? What are we doing, Draymond? Like, when he did the thing with Gobert and he choked out Gobert, I'm like, okay, at least you're defending Clay. You know what I mean? He grabbing your teammate, you grabbing him.
Yeah, that's fine.
At the end of the day, I don't see a place. I don't see what you're doing. The man pushed you out to the three-point line. Like, you're not even on the block anymore. So it's like, hey, at that point, maybe go screen and reposition and get back in the game. But I think it goes deeper than this, Skip. As somebody who's been through some things, I know what it looks like when somebody is going through some things and they're taking out frustrations that may have originated elsewhere on the court. And I think that's what's going on. And I think that's what probably Nurkic is talking about. Like, he needs some help. Yeah. Because, at the end of the day, these are human beings.
Yeah, well, it's obviously going to be multiple games. I mean, what he's asking for is the benefit of the doubt. But, Greeny, the benefit of the doubt for Draymond Green left town literally years ago. And so what's extremely disappointing here is that he knows that he is on a very, very tight leash with this. The last 2 times he's been suspended, Joe Dumars has said, that the discipline czar in the NBA has said that his suspension is magnified because of his past behavior. So every time he steps out on the court, he knows that anything that he does is going to be magnified. So his suspension for this will be magnified. But that's not even really what my main reaction to this is. Because we've seen Draymond do this for years. This same act that he was, trying to sell a call was the same thing he said about Steven Adams like 7-8 years ago when he kicked him in the groin. What really is super upsetting for the Warriors is that they are at an absolute crucial point in their season, in their history. Guys, this is a $400 million payroll. Did you hear what I just said? $400 million. They are right at the edge here of this going either way. Bob Myers is gone. Steve Kerr is in the last year of his contract. Klay Thompson is in the last year of his contract. In this game last night, Steve Kerr pulled the ripcord on something. He benched Andrew Wiggins, Klay Thompson, and Kevon Looney down the stretch of this game. He didn't start Wiggins and Looney in the second half. He's going with his young guys. He's trying to stitch this season together, to save it, to save this dynasty together, and it falls apart in the end of the game with Draymond gone because they need him so bad. All of this on the line, and as you just said, 3rd ejection in 1 month.
This is a guy who got suspended during an NBA Finals, and practically every person recognizes that the Warriors would have won that championship that year had that not happened. I will be very surprised if he's not suspended at least 10 games. Look, at the end of the day, I've been watching the game 50 years. You can talk about errant all you want. I've seen guys try to sell calls for a long time. They don't usually hit a guy in the head that hard with their elbow.
I would like to drain this situation of the emotion. Because I think what happens in situations like this is we all get angry and upset and emotional, and then we provide cover for the league to set new precedent. And that new precedent is what future players will have to live by. And the problem here is we all can get behind this. This is what happened to us in football a number of times. We can get behind being punitive for Draymond Green. But then when we have already allowed them to say, well, you can do 20 games for a backwards hand slap, when they do it in the future to someone else, they're gonna point to this precedent and we won't have a leg to stand on to say that this is too punitive. So my concern in this situation is that. And the other thing is arguing that there's amount of punishment that will address Draymond Green's behavior, I think is a mistake. Because Draymond Green has proven that there is no punishment. Losing the NBA Finals was not enough for him to start acting the way that we think that he's supposed to act. So I just know that as a player, it's important for us to defend the players. The league's responsibility is to do what's best for the league, not for the play. There is no amount of punishment that is going to curtail Draymond Green's behavior. So if you want to do something about Draymond Green, thinking or using the argument that we got to teach Draymond Green a lesson, I think that's a mistake because he told you and his behavior tells you that he ain't going to change. That's why I used the example I used earlier of Ron Artest. In 2012, he elbowed James Harden, causing a concussion to James Harden. Ron Artest is the same guy with that type of reputation.
Yeah.
And Ron Artest got 7 games. So, all right, Draymond Green, maybe there is some time value of money to now he gets 8 games. But once we start talking about 15 to 20,
can I say something, though?
that's scary.
Because I've known Ron my whole life. When things happen like Ron always seemed remorseful in his post-game presser. So after the chokeout of Rudy Gobert, one of the things that Draymond Green said, the consensus among all of us is that I'm going to be me no matter what. That's never going to change.
Yeah.
So like when I hear non-remorsive types of articulation after incidents like this, and then I hear another example, it makes me think that you aren't getting the message. If you're a repeated offender, when do you draw a firm line, Neek?
He is too important and too valuable to this team. And this is a team that's had great success, and they're getting older, and they're still fighting to stay in the mix. But we're seeing a decline here. And let's just be honest. And we know Charles has talked about it.
Sure.
And maybe some of that is lashing out. That lashing out is frustration because you can see the writing on the wall. I'm only speculating and saying that. But, this can't happen, a month from when the last incident happened. And I expect it'll be, some serious time missed for Draymond.
You are isolating yourself from people who are standing up for you.
That's right.
The NFLPA didn't want it. What Vontaze Burfict was going on, I was his teammate. Other players in the league were scared to play against him, and as well as the league. And so he had nobody standing on his side. Draymond, unfortunately, is putting himself in that same scenario.
Like, I think 5 games was way too low to begin with the choking out of Rudy Gobert. I thought it was indefensible. I thought there was no need for that in basketball. This is a non-basketball related move.
Yeah.
You're not selling a foul by spinning and slapping somebody with an open or closed fist. You're not doing this. Greeny, as a former player, if you want to square up with me. Don't hit me with a cheap shot. Square up with me, man. But I've been seeing a lot of cheap shots. And the last thing I will call for, I really think Joe Dumars needs to recuse himself. I think this needs to go all the way up to Adam Silver. Because I think the 5-game penalty, it's been too light. Nobody set a firm example with Draymond by saying this is not acceptable behavior in the league.
I mean, 16 days ago, we just sat in a press conference where Draymond says, I need to be on the court for my teammates because they need me, and for us to have the success we're going to have, this is what I need to do. And right now, in this moment, when you see something like this, those feel like just words. For the league office, when they see this, are they going to add the punishment from the last suspension that he just came back from to this one now to make it an even graver punishment, Monty?
Keep in mind, the league is trying to make its image as wholesome as possible. They're talking about TV contracts coming up in a little over a year. Yes. And they're trying to sell this league, and this is not the image you want. And I'm sure that was addressed when Joe Dumars, the sheriff of the NBA, who is Draymond, like an uncle of Draymond, yes, loves Draymond. They go with Draymond, his son and Draymond are like this, they go way back. So this is not just about the Warriors or Jusuf Nurkic. This is about messing with the league's money.